here to the wall, pond. Glass thing in the middle of it, glass sculpture. The last bit of glass is this piece here. What it's doing, it's reflecting. So that tree there is over here in the botanic garden somewhere. Right? It's reflecting that tree from over there. Those rose bushes are reflected from over there. That duck is not standing there, it's standing down here because that's the edge of the pond being reflected. Don't worry too much because a bit later I'll show you a bigger photo and you can work it out. But that duck's over here. This duck is reflected. See, there's reflections of everything. And then that tree is reflected down there. So it's all these reflections on a glass sculpture, which is why it's called Intriguing Reflections on Money and Life. So, as I said, a little bit later on, I'm going to show you a picture and you go, that's where it is. You'll recognise it more. So, so then the next question is, how did I become an author? So here's my book. How did I actually start? I'll tell you the story of, because I didn't really set out to become an author. I had a really funny accident. I'll tell you what happened very quickly. I'm a surfer, so I'm heading down to Victor Harbour, and there's a big tree, big pine tree on the road ahead, and it dropped a big branch, 2-ton branch that landed on a power line that went across the road. And the weight of it brought the power line down. We're going 80 that way, 100 that way, and a truck's coming towards us like that. And as we crossed, the power line got brought down by the weight of the tree, and the truck hit it. And it kind of exploded it. It went out like a big rubber band, and then it came back again. And as it came back again, I thought, it's going to hit, and it's going to hit right next to my head. So I'm sort of ducking, thinking, whoa, am I going to have a head here? And it hit the windscreen, it pulverised it, all glass in our face, smashed the windscreen, flicked up onto the top of the car with the roof racks, severed off the roof racks with our surfboards. So they took off at 100 like a little pod, left mule driving at 100, trying to pull over, glass in his face, and not roll a car. And I thought at that moment it hit, I had this thought, and it was, don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today, because tomorrow may never come. Because it just hit me at that instant that, well, I thought that was my end, and I felt very, frustrated is not the word, I felt very cheated. Because there was things I wanted to do in my life, and I hadn't done them. I'd tried a bit, but I hadn't really tried hard, and I felt cheated, and I was thinking, at that moment of impact, I thought, if there's someone up there, I'm going to have a stiff word to someone here because I'm just going surfing and now here I am and it's the end. And I felt ripped off, to be honest with you. So I decided then and there, when I sat down on the side of the road, picking glass out of my face, I thought, that's it, I'm going to do something I really love because we're all in the same boat. No one knows tomorrow, it might come, it might not. Same for me, same for all of us. So that's what I did. And so it took me, that was in 2006, that was October the 12th, 2006, and it took me 3 years to do, full-time, that book. That's what the car windscreen looked like after the accident. So what was I doing before that? So I was a garden designer. So for those of you that like gardens and nature, you're in the right place, because it's based on my love of gardens and love of nature. So that there is the last garden that I designed and built with a guy called James Morecambe, and we won a top state award, top garden design award in 2006. So for those of you that love your gardens, I'll just tell you a little bit about it, because this my talk isn't so much about gardens, but we use it as a way of telling a story. So this was in Prospect. Anyone have any idea how old do you reckon that garden is? How old do you reckon it is? How many years do you reckon it's been? Any idea? Anyone? 1 year, 10 years, 5 years? Well, it's only about a year, a bit over a year, probably a year and a half old. The reason is we bought all this full-size stuff there. So all the plants in there, they're basically the same size we bought them at, so full size. And what we did, we pruned them, we planted them, so that tree was that same size. It took us 6 months to build it, and that was in the second growing season for the roses. It was a really beautiful job. The guy was a lovely bloke. His name was Don, and he looked after it, really looked after it well for us. That's why we won the awards. He looked after it so well. For those of you that gardeners, we've got little box hedges, syzygiums, all sorts of different plants. And he was a garden lover, and he was a green thumb, so he really looked after it. So I can show you a couple of other shots before we move on to the book, just the garden. That's one that was in the garden. That was, for those of you that love your roses. I can't actually tell you what the name of that rose is. It's a terrible thing, but I can't. But, some of you might know. It looks like Pierre de Ronsard, which is that climbing rose, but I don't think it is. I don't think they do a Pierre de Ronsard in just a standard bush rose. So that was just one of the paths we did. It took us about 6 months to build it. A lot of building construction in it. Attila, my friend here, always wants me to come and do his garden, but the time has passed, and the time has passed, unfortunately, for gardening for me. This one here is that's a daylily for those of you that know your plants a bit. That was one of the ones that Don, because Don was really good. He'd go out and he'd find plants and he'd send away, and he just loved his plants, so he filled up the garden with all these things. So we just finished it, and then he put all this stuff in there. And that was a daylily, and just the colour, that beautiful red colour. That's one of my favourite shots, that one. So, let's have a look at the book. So let's go now on to the book. And before I start the book, I'm just going to tell you a little bit of my motivation for doing it. So you know why I had the accent which propelled me, but what was sort of my background? Well, I suppose my background was for, maybe 20 years ago, I kind of looked around and I didn't really have any money. I've been broke most of my life. My health was no good. I lost a business because I had a bad rib accident. I didn't have a real lot of friends. In fact, I looked around. It was a bit of a wasteland in my life, and I thought, what's the only thing common about all this? And it was me. I'm the only thing that was common about all these things. And I thought, right, it's time for me to change, I think. I think I need to change for my world to change. And that was about 20 years ago. So this book is like looking at some of the changes and the things that I've observed to change from being in that state to a different one, with money, life, things, love, happiness, whatever. So it was kind of things that I looked at and thought, I think I need to do something there. So this book is a collection of those things. It's a collection of observations on life, love and money. It's things I've either learned, wished I learned, lessons in the School of Hard Knocks, all rolled in with beautiful shots of nature. Because at the root of it, I'm a nature lover. I'm a bird lover more than anything. So let's have a look now at the book and some of the book and how it goes. So first one. In the book, there's a photograph. It's a photography book. There's something that's a caption, and there's a background image which you can't see well in a minute. There's actually a light ghosted image there. That's okay. At the moment you can't see it. So let's just take the photo first. So they're all unusual photos, but based on a love of nature. This one here, I was in the car, I was in Tasmania, Dove Lake, and I was in the back seat of a little Daihatsu. James, a photographer, was in the front seat. He wound the window down, opened the door, and got out to take a photograph of a waterfall. And I kid you not, within 10 seconds, this currawong, it's like a crow size, flew down and landed on the window he just wound down. It's sitting maybe this far from my face, right? And those grubs, they're all wriggling. Big piece of straw, bright yellow eyes. I can still see those eyes in my dreams now. Like they were just looking at me like that. And the lady driving goes, look at that, look at that. And I go, James, turn around. And he goes, what? Whoa. Click, gets a photo. Okay, so the photo's called, now this is where it gets a bit more interesting. So there are observations, right? The photo's called Grub It When You Can. When a window of opportunity opens, sometimes you need to act quickly. A window of opportunity for the bird, because he's got 10 grubs. It's a window of opportunity for James, because he got the photograph. And it's a window of opportunity because he's sitting on a window. So it's really the words and the picture are like that. They're very closely connected. Probably more so than any book, photography book or a picture book you'll see. In fact, so much so the book won International Book Award in New York in May last year. I got invited to New York to get an award. So it's that kind of level. Let's show you another photograph. All the photos are connected to the garden somewhere. Whether there's something you'll find in the garden, a bird in the garden, a plant, a person, or garden. This is why it's the gardener's guide. Because if you think about it as well, the gardener's guide to growing money trees, I figured, who'd know how to grow a money tree? It wouldn't be a banker, it wouldn't be a financier, it'd be a gardener. And who's a gardener? Me. So it's the gardener's guide to growing money trees. All about the garden. So another one. This one's called, so again, now I'm going to show you, I'm going to turn a few lights on and show you this, because then you'll get an appreciation of the amount of work that we put in.
Lights off?
And I just want to turn them on for those for a minute. So let's just have a look at another one, then I'm going to show you and go around and show something. Right, there's a photograph again. Photograph, does anyone know what sort of bee it is? It is a bee. Some people think it's,
It's a bumblebee.
it's a bumblebee.
Yes.
Bumblebee, it
From
is.
New Zealand.
Well, they are New Zealand. They're also in Tasmania, but we don't have them in Australia. You won't walk outside and never see one of them because we don't have them.
Looks like a butterfly from there.
It does, and it looks like a bird. Some people say to me, gee, it looks like a bird. But it's a bumblebee. And see the little tiny wings?
Yeah.
Science can't work out how it can even lift off the ground because the wings are so small. Scientifically, it shouldn't be able to take off, but it does. So anyway, it's called, it's a bumblebee in a field of marigolds. Beautiful marigolds. It's actually in France. So in the book, 60% are in Adelaide, we'll see a lot you'll know. 20% rest of Australia, 20% the world. So it's a bit of a mixture. This one's from France, so it's a bumblebee. Be persistent. Be persistent and you'll eventually hit the jackpot. So sometimes in life, persistence is a good quality. If you keep going, sometimes things happen good for you. Sometimes, not always, but a lot of time if you persist, it's a good result. Because it's like life, we're like bees away, like, you know, you go along, lots of people try a few times, but it's the people that don't give up and keep trying are the ones that really succeed, in my experience. So that's what I mean. The book is a collection of these observations on either something to do with money, something to do with love, something to do with life. And this is to do with money, that one. So before I move on from there, I want to show you something. So you can see the picture, but what you can't see, there's a couple of things I want to tell you. Number one, the quality of the image is a lot higher than what you're seeing. So you're seeing it from my data projector, good quality one. Nonetheless, it can't quite give the quality of the image. So the quality of the image is even higher, right? The other thing we've done that you can't see here, there's actually a background, they call it a watermark, and you can see, now your eyes, some of you may not be too good, but if you've got reason why you can see there's a light ghosting in the background. What also we did, we put a satin varnish on, I'll get you to touch this, on to make the page smooth and a gloss to bring up the colour. So you put your fingers there, just feel that, see how smooth it feels? So that is called a satin varnish. So when you go to turn the pages, it feels nice. Can you feel that one? Maybe next time. So have a feel of that. So it's called a satin varnish in printing terms, and it gives it a very nice smooth feel for your hand. You can feel that one there. That's a satin varnish. So this lady's a photographer, so she's my backup if I don't know something I can ask. And this is a lot of spot gloss on there to bring the image up. Yeah, lovely. Have a look at that. So you feel that. It's a satin varnish. So it makes it very smooth to touch.
Yeah.
Silky. Makes it nice to turn. And then we put a spot gloss on there to bring the colour up. Have a feel. It's a satin. Beautiful. It is. It's satin varnish. It's really lovely. You feel that there. It's called satin varnish. See how it feels smooth to touch? And And then this has got a spot gloss to bring the image up. And then see in the background, is your eyes enough? Can you see that, like a part of the picture, ghosted? See that? This reflected there? That, a little bit like that. I've used that picture to make the background. And then, so have a look there. So that's smooth. Very smooth. Feels really smooth to touch, so it's nice to feel. That's called a satin varnish. And we put a spot gloss on there to bring the colour up. And then we put a watermark. That's a water. Can you see that light ghosting image? It sort of subliminally reinforces. Feel that one there. Just feel that. So it's called a satin varnish.
When you say throwing money trees, you're not being literal.
No, I'm not being literal.
That's all I mean.
No, I'm not.
But the garden is the money tree.
It is the garden. It's the things, the beautiful things in life. And they do, and that's why I got problems in my marketing. I need you on my marketing campaign.
They're beautiful pictures.
I know they are. We spent 3 years on the pictures. You learnt that one, did you? Yeah. There you go. Have a look at that. You feel that? Is your hand working all right? So that's got the satin varnish on it. So it feels smooth, and then we've got a spot gloss on there to make the image shine. Can you see that? There's like a ghosted image. Like, is your eyes good enough to see that? Just here. There's a light thing in the background. You can't see that. Your eyes can't see it. No worries. There we go on one hand. One hand works. So that's a satin varnish. It's in the printing. They put it to make it feel smooth, to touch. And then they put a gloss on there to bring the image up. That's called a gloss on there. And then it is. I know. We spent 3 years on the pictures getting into that quality. So you feel that. So there's a satin varnish, makes it feel very smooth to touch. A gloss on there. They call it a spot.